It's been about -3 to 5 over recent nights. It's now 0 degrees here in Appledorn. What we've got here is a huge range of perennials, spring perennials, multiple species. But what I want to do is simplify our spring perennial offer for you for success for cultivation and a nice offer in the key species for your customers. We've got key species like Saxifraga, Aubreisha and Iberis, traditional spring perennial culture. And I'll also talk a little bit about the opportunities for spring perennials that can cross over into summer perennial production as well. I speak about perennials, but what we're really looking at is seasonal colour. And I want to simplify that for extending the offer and the possibilities of colour all year round. So here we have one of the key species within spring perennial. It's one of the first signs of spring, white punching up from the dull ground in the spring months, brightening up the ground. So we have the Iberis sempervirens Whistler White. The Whistler White here is from seed. It's one of those first elements of colour coming through in the spring. You can see it's earlier than something in our pipeline that you can trial this year, which is the Whistler Late. However, when you look towards the potting of these, you can pot them both at the same time and have an output in two different timings. So we would recommend potting these around week 35, 37 for output around now, the beginning of March. If we look to snow cone is the most popular Iberis here in the European market. Beautiful, large, showy white flowers. Being from cutting, it means that you have earlier flowering compared to the seed raised varieties. And of course you have that very nice, well-behaved plant habit. From the seed varieties, you also can expect much more uniformity because these are F1 genetics. So compared to the OP, much more uniform and really punching great colour and uniformity across landscape applications. So here we have the Aubreisha hybrida, another one of those key species for spring perennials. Again, does need that vernalisation, so it is in the traditional spring perennial culture, planting in the autumn, flowering in the spring. Here we have one of the very well-known genetics on the market, the Glacier Blue. This is the breeding profile that we are looking at to get that nice, compact, well-behaved habit. We've improved on the earliness flowering time with the Glacier series. So Glacier Blue is the standard genetic on the market. Glacier Sky Blue is one of the examples where we're punching up on that flowering time. And you're really seeing this as one of the first flowering plants within the spring, bringing colour to the gardens and landscape. Aubreisha Audrey, we've got the new red here that's coming into the assortment this coming season. Aubreisha Audrey is an F1 hybrid, the first F1 hybrid on the market. So what we're looking at is that uniformity in flower performance and also plant vigour across the varieties, but also across the series. So what you're really getting is that cutting uniformity that you would expect, except here we have it from seed. So here with Aubreisha, these varieties series are great for jump-starting the spring season with that first colour. Okay, so here we have Saxifraga. We've got an offer from both cutting and seed. I'll start with our upgraded cutting assortment. Alpino is an improvement on the standard and the original Turan. Alpino, you can see here, very nice intense colours, good earliness, nice large flower size on short stems. We've got a good colour range with the pink, the white, the deep rose and the red. And then if we move down a little bit further, we've got the Turan. So you can see here, compared to what we just saw, slightly later in flowering. However, the Turan is still very, very well respected because of the flower size and the cutting quality of plant, forming a nice flowering dome with these beautiful large flowers. And again, like the other spring perennials, they are the first colour in the season, brightening up the gardens in that early spring, in those early spring months. So here we've got the lime green, the large white, the pink, the white and reds. We've got a red and a deep red. And now if we look into the seed raised offer that we have, this really is the next generation from seed Saxifraga. So Lofty will be replacing Highlander. Lofty has much more vigour, better improved earliness, flower presentation, and uniformity across the series of course is key, with it being from seed. So we've got an offer here both from cutting and seed. I really would recommend the seed varieties because they are improving on what is already the standard in cutting, and you get equally as good quality, especially with that uniformity that you would expect from a seed crop. Okay, so what we have here are spring perennials that don't need vernalisation. So they can actually be grown in the summer or autumn months as well. Here we have items for autumn interest, foliage colour interest, like the Heuchera Marvellous Marble. We've got Erysimum Bowls Mauve, great for adding alongside your biennials in the autumn, for instance. The Arenaria Summer White, beautiful plant in the summer, covered in white flowers, but also showing lovely colour within the spring. The Pulcinella, yellow, Papava, beautiful poppy, again, not just spring interest, but also summer. Almeria Armada, a beautiful thrift with the colourful rose flowers, also flowering in the summer. And finally, Aquilegia kirigami. This is a very, very programmable crop. You can plant it in the spring as a traditional spring perennial, but also in the summer months and even into the very early spring through first year culture. So all these varieties don't need vernalisation. Yes, they'll flower in the spring through good culture, but in the summer, because they don't need that cold period, they're providing beautiful colour.